What is going on in another video coming at you from Redskins Rant? Hail to the Redskins. This is going to be a video about some bold predictions for this season. I'm going to talk about the offense, the defense. I'm probably not going to talk about too much about specific players, but just how individual squads are going to do. It might be the whole defense, it might be partial, whatever case may be. Before I do start, though, hit the subscribe button, share this to all your friends, and also hit the notification bell so you get videos like this all the time, so you can always check out Redskins Rant content. Without further ado, let's get started. So first bold prediction that I have is about the defensive line. I think the defensive line is going to be very stout this year. I think the Washington Redskins will lead the NFL in sacks. I think we'll have the most sacks in the NFL this year. I'll run down the defensive line. We have Montez Sweat. We have Chase Young. We have Ryan Kerrigan. Right there are three sack masters. So beyond those three, we have Matt Ioannidis, we have Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Tim Settle, and I think we're going to unleash some guys this year on the opposing team's offense. I got the hiccups. I'm sorry. So I think we're going to unleash some guys. I think last year, a couple guys like Payne and Allen and Matt Ioannidis, most of the time just had to stand their ground and take on double teams. Now they can actually just play gap and play upfield. And I think that's going to be very beneficial. It's going to pay dividends for what they're going to be able to do on the football field. Okay, so it's going to make it harder for Chase Young to get Rookie of the Year, absolutely, because I think it's going to be a shared venture. It's not going to be one person getting 20 sacks. It's going to be a lot of guys getting sacks. This one isn't that bold. I think Kerrigan's going to break the sack record this year. I think 100% it's going to happen. I hope he does it by the first game. I really do. Actually, I would like to do it when there's people there so they can celebrate his accomplishment. But I'll be happy if he does it against the Eagles. Okay, so that's the first bold prediction I have about the defense. Sorry, there's a big truck in my way and I couldn't see the light until after he'd passed through the thing. So that's the first prediction that I have. Second prediction I have, I think the offense or defense is going to be top 5 running defense, top 10 passing defense. I think the run defense, like I said, there's some big hog mollies up front, so I think it's going to be very difficult to run on that. I think those 4 guys, or at least a combination of those 4 at all times, will be able to occupy the offensive line, and our linebackers will run free. So I think our linebacking core will get a lot of tackles, but I also think our defensive line is going to get a lot of penetration without doing a lot of blitzing. In our secondary, I don't actually think our secondary is that great. I think our secondary is okay, but I don't really think our secondary is all that great. However, I think it's going to be good enough, and with our defense getting after the quarterback enough, they just have to stop the receivers from getting open right away. If it's a long developing play, we're going to be okay because the quarterback, our defensive line is going to get to the quarterback. But if there's going to be a play where someone is going to take 7 seconds or whatever, that our defense no secondary is going to survive that. No secondary is going to work because the play busts and then guys come back to the ball. You can't always guard all that stuff. But if we just take away original options and hope we can get the quarterback first, I think that's going to be very beneficial to our defensive backs. Not to mention, we're going to rush some quarterbacks, and they're going to make some mistakes. And I think we have guys that can capitalize on them. Our defensive backs are going to consist of. It is going to be crazy because I didn't think this guy was going to make the team, but apparently he's really stepped up in training camp. So we have Ronald Darby. I expected him to make the team. I just don't expect him to be healthy. Jimmy Moreland, Kendall Fuller. Greg Stroman apparently has been looking really good in preseason. And then the last one, who was the last one? Fabian Monroe. So we actually I think we have a pretty solid cornerback crew. And then combine that with, it looks like Landon Collins and Troy Apke has been getting a lot of the first team looks. So that's our secondary. And I think if we're running the right scheme, and it seems like Troy Apke for sure has been it's been a breath of fresh air that he's understands it, and he's been playing a lot better. I'm a little surprised though, because we had 2 people on the roster that I thought were going to start over Apke. I mean, Apke, I just guess, has all the right tools, and Ron Rivera knows how to work them, and that's why he's there now. But I could have sworn it was going to be Sean Davis or Jeremy Reeves at the second safety spot, not not Troy Apke, not in the slightest. But you know what? I'm pleasantly surprised because actually I wanted Troy Apke to work out. He comes from a school that I support, and I support only 3 schools. Well, it's 4, I guess, if you count Boise. WVU, I support kinda Maryland, and I support Penn State. My dad's a big Penn State fan, and then I also like the blue field from Boise, so I kind of watch them on football. But off topic there. So back to it. I really thought that Sean Davis or Jeremy Reeves would be the ones to ascend, but I'm pleasantly surprised that Apke is the guy who looks like he's going to be our second safety, and as long as he's good, no one's going to have an issue. So, moving on from the defense. So the defense, again, top 5 run defense, top 10 passing defense. So I think that projects us out to be like an 8 seed or 7 seed defense, something like that, or 7th ranked. Maybe we break the top 5, depends on how good our passing game is and how many sacks we get early. But that's my prediction for the defense. Offense, a little bit different predictions here. You can kind of individualize these a little bit. Dwayne Haskins. I think Dwayne Haskins will throw for between 4,000 and 4,200 yards. Okay, I think that is what he's looking at. I mean, I think we'd also be happy for about 3,800, as long as he's like efficient with it. He doesn't have a lot of turnovers. That's not bad either. But I think he's going to hit the 4,000 mark, and I think the ceiling for him is 4,200 passing yards. I think that's the best we should hope for. If that happens, we're gonna. I'm telling you, there's a lot of things coming to fruition. We're gonna have a good season. There's a lot of ifs in that, but I think we have a better coaching staff. I'll get to that here in a minute. There's other things that bind to the coaching staff aspect, but so yeah. And here's why I think he's gonna get 4,200 passing yards. One, I think McLaurin's gonna get at least 1,200. So let's just say McLaurin gets just 1,200. No more than that. I think he could probably go for at least 1,500 or 1,600. He's that talented. He's going to get a lot of targets, and he's almost uncoverable. But let's just play devil's advocate and say he only gets 1,200. Okay, he only gets 1,200 passing yards. Okay, so he gets that, and I think Steven Sims will be our second leading receiver, and he'll get about 800 yards. The ceiling for Steven Sims is 1,000 yards. That guy could take a 5-yard slant to the house. So he'll have like 3 catches in a game, but he might get like 100 yards receiving very easily. And I actually think a lot of people sleep on Steven Sims. So right there is 2,000 yards. Okay, right there is 2,000 yards. So now let's look at other positions. Or look at other receivers. So I think the other receiving core. I think Gandy Golden will probably get about 300 or 400. 400 will be his ceiling. He won't get any more than that. We're not going to have another rookie season like McLaurin. If you consider Gibson in this, I think Gibson will probably have 500 or 600. So right there, you're at 2,900, 2,800 passing yards, 2,900 passing yards. And our tight ends, I think our tight ends are going to get at least 700 combined, 600 or 700 combined. Right now, you're at 3,500, and then you factor in the other receivers, Trey Quinn, Cam Sims, whoever else makes the team, and then our running back core. Our running back core is probably going to get a couple hundred. So I think 4,200 makes sense to me. Now, if he's doing that, and I also predict that he's going to get, also bold prediction, I think he's going to get anywhere between 9 and 15 interceptions. Now, I could be way wrong. He could have like 2,000 passing yards and like 25 interceptions and like 2 touchdowns. I doubt the 2 touchdown thing, but maybe like 10 touchdowns. But I think he's going to actually get a lot of touchdowns and not that many interceptions. I think his touchdowns, I want him to get between 32 and 35. I think that is pretty solid. The reason why I think that is I think a lot of them are not going to be like him so much throwing touchdowns. It's going to be guys running for touchdowns. I think he's going to throw a 5-yard slant, and Terry McLaurin's going to take it to the house. He's got 3 home run hitters on this offense. Terry McLaurin, Steven Sims, and Antonio Gibson. And I think any one of those 3 that gets their hands on the ball, they have the ability to bust it open for a big play or like a long touchdown. And I think that as much as I think Haskins will do well, I think that's going to be a lot of the offense is those boomer bust plays. And I mean, I'll get to another prediction here in a minute. Excuse me. I'm also, from what I'm hearing in practice, is they've worked a lot on red zone touchdowns. Like Logan Thomas is not a very great player, but he's going to get a lot of red zone touchdowns. For what I've heard in training camp, that he's getting a lot of red zone targets, like him and I think it's Marcus Ball, Baugh, Ball. And you have Cam Sims, who's a big target in the red zone. He's a big receiver. So, and then also Gandy Golden's in there too. So I think he'll get around 32 to 35 touchdowns with 9 to 15 interceptions. He might get 20. I think the worst I would accept is 20. If he's getting 35 touchdowns, 20 interceptions, we can fix that. But let's go top end on that. He goes 35 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Fantastic year. I guarantee if he does that, we're making the playoffs, because we ain't doing that in a losing season. Okay? And we're definitely hitting that yard mark if he does that as well. So that's why I predict there. I've already kind of gone over predictions with receivers, so I'm not going to do that. Offensive line. I think our offensive line is going to look a little bit better than we anticipate. So far, I mean, they have actually shuffled around the guard and center position the last few days of training camp. At least that's what I've heard. The right guard will be Morgan Moses, unfortunately. Right tackle will be Morgan Moses. Right guard will be Brandon Sheriff. So the right side's pretty darn good. Or at least they're consistent. They'll be okay. Center, which is I thought was Chase Roulier, but apparently they've been playing Keith Ishmael, the guy they drafted out of, I think it was San Diego State or something like that. They've been playing him at center. It might be the fact that Chase Roulier is just kind of like, solidified himself as a starter, and they're just trying to get other guys playing time, because they got to figure out the rest of the roster spots. But my prediction is Chase Roulier will start at center. Wes Martin will be the left guard, and the way it's sounding is Jerron Christian will be left tackle. And I think the offensive line is going to do better. Now, there's no way to really quantify this. There's no measurable metrics to grade the offensive line. I guess you can go by like sacks or rushing yards, I guess, is a way to gauge it. But I'm not going to do it that way. I just think the offensive line will be better than we anticipate. And I'm going to explain why I think that they're going to do better than we anticipate. And that's why, if I look at the Washington Redskins, if I was an opposing team, what is the most scary part of their team? Two things to me. Their defensive line. So I would really not want to get down against them. And what is the other scary part? I'm making sure this guy doesn't turn in front of me. Okay. What is the other scary part of that team? Well, they have 3 home run hitters. So you don't want to get behind on that defense. That defensive line is all great defenses have always been able to just pin ears back and just go get the quarterback whenever their team's up. And it really makes the other team one-dimensional. So a lot of teams really don't want to be one-dimensional. This is one of the worst things to be in sports is one-dimensional, because then it's easy to guard you or stop you or whatever. So teams don't want to do that. So to prevent themselves from getting behind on the Redskins, I think they're going to be very passive on defense. And here's what I mean. If I were to look at Haskins in the offense, what would be the best way to stop Haskins? Okay, you could blitz heavy. That's true. But if he gets the ball off, gets it to McLaurin, Sims, or really anyone, it's a home run hit. And that's kind of the problem with any offense. But I think with this offense, you have 3 specific guys that can do that. And I think other teams will recognize them as a legitimate threat to do that. So if I was coaching against us, I'd do it. The Colts did this to us a couple years ago. When we were playing when we had Alex Smith his first year, we were playing the Indianapolis Colts. We just beat the crap out of the Arizona Cardinals in opening day. And then we were playing the Colts. And the Colts basically played deep. And they let us get everything we wanted underneath, but they never would let us go over the top, and we couldn't stretch the field, and they really smothered our running game. So they prevented us from establishing the running attack, and they really forced us to be one-dimensional. We threw a lot of short passes. Now we moved the ball, but we could not score in the red zone. We could not get the ball in the end zone, so we took 3 or 4 field goals in that game, and we just could not score touchdowns. We could not score touchdowns to save our lives in that game. So if I was looking at the Washington Redskins and I'm an opposing coach, I'd say that looks like the best strategy to have. Force Haskins to throw the ball more often, and you're banking on the fact that he's going to make mistakes, and you're going to get interceptions, you're going to force fumbles, whatever, and you're going to capitalize on it. And you're going to prevent, at the very least, the Washington football team will get a field goal rather than getting a full-blown touchdown. And then you're not going to fall behind, because if the Redskins score 3 times, it's only going to be 9 points. So that's what I think teams are going to do. So they're not going to blitz heavy. They're going to send 4, drop 7, drop 8, prevent stuff over the top, and just keep everything in front of them. That's what I would do if I was coaching against the Redskins. I would prevent the Redskins team from having those boomer bust plays, force them to take stuff underneath, force them to take the underneath stuff, turn them more into a West Coast offense rather than like a true like push the ball down the field kind of offense, which I think was what they are. The way it sounds, that's what Haskins is doing in practice. And I think personally that's the best way to combat the Redskins offense. And it's also going to be the best way to combat the defense, because that means that you can stay balanced against the defense. That's going to be probably pretty good at running defense, but definitely good at pass defense because of the blitz, because of the pressure we're going to bring. And with all that combined, I think that Haskins is going to get a decent amount of yards because of that. Our offensive line, because teams aren't going to be blitzing as much, we'll just have to focus on the guy in front of them. And teams that play 3-4, it's going to be very, very useful. Teams that play 4-3, we do have running backs that we can throw in there and tight ends to help block. But that's really what I would do to stop the Washington Redskins. Now, do I think that's going to work against the Washington football team? No, I don't think it's going to work. And the reason why I don't is I think a lot of teams are underestimating underestimating Haskins. I think they're going to look at Haskins and thinking, oh, he's a dumb rookie, we can just blitz him. Well, that's great, it's fine, but as soon as you blitz him and he burns you, now you're going to be trailing. So if it's towards like 7-3, you send the blitz at the wrong time, Haskins hits McLaurin on a slant, and he takes to the house, now you're down 14-3. And if you come back and the defense stops you and puts your dick in the dirt, and then the offense comes back out and scores again, now you're down 21-3. And you can't really have a balanced attack, because if you keep doing your balanced attack and you don't put points on the board, you eat up time and you give the ball back to the offense very quickly, and they can just score again. So I think it's going to be I don't think our offense will be like this bombshell offense. I mean, I think it would be okay. I think it would be a decent offense, and I think it's going to be better than people are going to give it credit for. I think after like week 8, people are going to start understanding that the offense is a little better than anticipated. And the O-line's going to do well. That's pretty much how I see this season going. I see early a lot of teams like trying to blitz Haskins, or they're going to do one of two things. They're either going to blitz him a lot early, or they're going to like hang back and try to force him to beat them. And that's why I don't think and I think that's going to be a bad strategy. I think Haskins is going to light people up. Like, here's an example. I don't think people keep thinking we're going to go like the Washington football team is projected to be the second worst team in the league this year. Jacksonville and us are projected to be the 2 worst football teams in the league. I don't think we are. I think we've invested too much in the offensive or defensive line to be that bad. I think we at the very least we could be like a 5-win team or 6-win team, which 6 wins doubles what we did last year. But I think people were writing us off a little too early, and here's why. Last year we played, I'm just going to use the Eagles, and I'll actually analyze the entire, I'll analyze the entire, division if you want. Last year we almost beat the Eagles twice. First game we were crushing them, but then Gruden does make adjustments, and he doesn't do things to help us win. And I don't think we're going to give up 3 50-yard touchdown passes by a guy named Josh Gordon, because he's no longer on the roster. That's what killed us in that game. It didn't help. It wasn't that we I don't even think it was Jay Gruden making bad adjustments. So we were up so much, and then we're just focused on hey, let's just run the ball to make sure we don't have any turnovers or any shit like that. And then here we are, literally 4 plays. In a matter of 4 plays, the Eagles get 3 touchdowns. The Eagles get 3 touchdowns in a matter of 4 plays. One goes, right over. I think it's Jackson. I think it was Jackson. First one was to Jackson. Second one was to Jackson. And then there's a third one. I forget the third one too. Maybe Alshon Jeffrey. But they got like 3 50-yard bombs in the matter of I think total game time was like 7 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, we're not going to succeed doing that. It doesn't make sense. We're not going to succeed doing those things. But I don't think it's going to happen this year. So we almost beat them. And the second time, we almost beat them again. We were it was a very close game the entire way. We were close to them, and we were not very good last year. Okay, we went through a coaching fire. We went through, we started a rookie quarterback in the middle of the season. We went through a lot of changes, and then the second time we're playing the Eagles, this team that's so great, and we're neck and neck with them. We're going toe to toe with them. Haskins is throwing touchdowns. He's doing great things. And then the sack at the end of the game, I don't blame on him. I'm not getting into that. I don't blame on him at all. I blame the coaching staff. You had 2 timeouts left. They're showing blitz. Why would you let the rookie quarterback snap that? It doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense. You put him in a bad spot, and people are blaming him for it when he's just a rookie quarterback. It's not his responsibility to make those calls. I won't get into that. But I think Haskins did very well last year under the circumstances, and I think the Washington football team, are going to do better this year under the circumstances that we have. Like I said, we almost beat the Eagles last year the first time, and they were at full strength. And people were like, "Oh, the Eagles were not healthy last season." No, they were healthy when we played them the first time, and we were kicking the shit out of them the first time we played them. And then Norman happened, and then we don't make too many adjustments at halftime. The typical Jay Gruden. That's not going to happen with Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera is a winner. Ron Rivera knows how to close out games and then close out wins and keep momentum going and put pressure on guys, put the foot on the throat and drive it in the ground until the game's over. I think Ron Rivera knows how to do that better than Jay Gruden, at least. So don't take what happened last year like, oh, it's the same old. No, it's not the same old. Different coaching, different everything, different mentality, more accountability. Tons of things like that are different right now. And I think we need to understand that as a fan base. So like first game of the season, bold prediction. I think the Redskins are going to shit stomp the Eagles. I don't see that Eagles offensive line being that good. I think and Carson Wentz isn't even healthy right now. If he plays the game, the Redskins are probably going to put him out of the game, or at least like bang him up enough that we're here, or they're going to put their backup in just to be safe. That way they'll lose him for the whole season. I legit see that happening. That's definitely a possibility. I've rambled on about this for a while. I'm going to go on to predicting the division real quick, and then I'm going to have to cut this video off. 22 minutes and counting, 23 minutes. And so I'll just go ahead and go over the what the rest of the division looks like. So we're going over the Eagles. Their defensive line's good. The secondary is not that great. I don't think it's that great. Their offensive line's not that great. Their receiving core, if healthy, is not a bad receiving core. And Carson Wentz is a very good quarterback. I do think Sanders is a very solid running back that he got last year, and he did a lot of things against the Washington Redskins last year. But Carson Wentz can't stay healthy. If your star quarterback can't stay on the field, you're not gonna win the NFC East. It just doesn't work that way. In the NFC East, you have to have your star quarterback, or else other teams are going to pounce. So I don't think the Eagles are that great. I think the Giants are not great either. Their offensive line has been bad. Now, they did draft a couple offensive linemen. Maybe they signed one or two. But I'm going to give you a heads up. They're freshmen. They're rookies. And the Washington football team has some really good guys on our defensive line. We have some first-rounders invested in that are, like, I would say they're veterans at this point, but they're seasoned. They have experience. They know what they're doing. And I would anticipate, them giving the Giants the business. Giants receiving core does not have any elite standouts. Sterling Shepard and Golden Tate are not bad receivers, but I don't think they're going to do extremely well against our secondary. Their tight end is solid. I'll give them that. Their tight end is solid, but so is our guys that cover them. Like I think Sean Young Hamilton is going to be a specialist in that, covering tight ends. Was it Ebron? I think is his name. So he's a good tight end. He's a legit tight end. Running back, they definitely have a good running back. But like I said, they don't have a great offensive line. The running back is pretty good, but we're gonna see about the offensive line and the running back. So the running backs are only as good as the offensive line, and vice versa. And then the last thing about that is about the Giants is the quarterback. About their offense, the quarterback isn't. I think Daniel Jones is okay. I think he's like a franchise caliber, like okay quarterback, like a good game manager. But I think he has proven. I think their offense is designed about getting the ball out quick, and I think we take away that, and the quarterback, he'll get rattled with our defensive line. He fumbled the ball a lot last year, and I think we're gonna make it happen again. I think it's gonna happen again with us. We're gonna force a lot of fumbles. And then their defense, I don't think their defense is that good. They did add Logan Ryan to the defense, but again, I don't think their defense is all that good to begin with. I think it's okay, but I don't think it's that elite. I don't think there's enough there that they can make a run for the division. Now, the best team in the division, I think by far, is the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys, this is probably their year to win the whole thing. If they don't win it this year, they're not going to, because they got to give Dak Prescott way too much money. Okay, I thought it was going to be last year, but now that I've looked at the landscape of things, it's definitely this year. The offensive line is solid across the board. Not the greatest. They've definitely lost some players. Like, I think Frederick, I think is one of the names. A couple other guys. They definitely lost some guys across the board, but their offensive line is still like a top 10 offensive line, top 5 probably. Dak Prescott, I personally don't like Dak Prescott. I don't think he's very good. I think he's a product of a lot of talent around him. Dallas Cowboys have definitely given him a lot of talent. You got Amari Cooper on your team. Look how he was without Amari Cooper a couple years ago. He was horrible. He was, the rest was the Dallas was like 1-4 until they traded for Amari Cooper. And as soon as they got an actual receiver, he actually started doing well. So what was it? Was he just not playing well, or was it the receiver that would just catch anything he threw to him? I think it's the receiving core. I think he's got a lot of good receivers. He's got Amari Cooper, Gallup. I think that CeeDee Lamb. He's got good tight ends. So I think the talent around Ezekiel Elliott, obviously. So I think his talent around him is good, but I just don't think he's that good. I think he is a product of being on a very talented football team. I really do think that. The only thing I think the Dallas Cowboys are lacking is I don't think their defense is what it used to be. I would say a couple years ago they had some really good studs across that defensive line. And now they really don't. They've kind of like pulled back a little bit. They've given more money to offensive players so they can't afford the defense. So their defense is kind of taking some hits in that, but their defense is okay. It's okay enough to win with the talent they have. They do have a new head coach, so we don't know 100% about their offensive scheme. Maybe Mike McCarthy knows the formula to win with to make Dak successful. We'll see, but I think Dallas is probably the best team in the division. I think us and Eagles are like right there. I don't think the Eagles are like light years better than us. I think they have the better overall coach, but I don't think it's not like last year where like Jay Gruden is like a 5 and Doug Peterson is like a 9 or like a 9.5 or whatever, and it's not like a huge gap between the coaching now. I think Rivera, when it comes to, I don't think he specializes in one specific thing. I think he does a lot of things well, and that's why he's like a 7 or like a 7.5 or as high as an 8 sometimes. And I don't think it's as big a gap. I don't think it is. So, that being said, I think that's going to wrap up the video. So, let me know what you think. I really want people to comment on this. I want people to tell me what's their bold prediction. What do you think which prediction of mine is too bold? Also, I want to do a Q&A. So I want to do questions about the team. Like, ask me questions about the Washington Redskins. Who I think will do this. Do not ask me for my 53-man roster. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have a video where I'll do a 53-man roster. Okay? But ask me what I think of the Washington football team. Who I like a running back. Why do I think McLaurin's going to do this? Or what do I think is do I think someone's going to make the team? Whatever case may be. I asked me for my 53-man roster. I did this last year, and everyone wanted to know my entire 53-man roster. Like, listen, I'm not I was going to say this is weird. I'm not lazy, but I'm also not going to do like a whole bunch of research just to answer a question for a video, okay? I may do a little bit of research to make sure I don't say the wrong thing, but I do have planned to do a 53-man roster video. I'll know by tomorrow whether I'm going to do a prediction video or if I'm just going to do an analysis video. I'm not sure yet. I'm not decided on that at all. I did not realize that this is bright, so sorry about that. So just put some questions down there. What do I think of this player? Who do I think will start here? Things like that. I would love to answer those questions. I want to get people involved. And like I said, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, like the video, comment down below. What's your favorite prediction? What's your least favorite? What do you think I'm overstepping? What's your most bold prediction of the Washington football team this year? Without any further ado, hail to the Redskins, or hail to the Washington football team. It really does not roll off the tongue the right way, but otherwise, hail to the Redskins. See ya.